Good afternoon, everyone. The Cleveland City School Board of Education will come to order at 5:32. If everybody will please stand, we're going to have a presentation of colors. And Miss Ava will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And can we please remain standing for a moment of silence? You may now be seated.
I want to say a special thanks to Mr. Bob Pritchard and the Cleveland High School team for hosting us today, and especially for our students for presenting the colors today. I want to give a couple special thanks to those that are in attendance today. Cleveland City Councilman Ken Webb, Cleveland City Councilman Tom Casada, Mylan Blake, County Commissioner, Lynn Volz, Executive Director for BCPEF, Danielle Seals, Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce, and Charlie Cogdell, former Cleveland City School Board member. Before we get started with our meeting, I want to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Dyer for being here at Cleveland City Schools and the work he's done. Many of you were able to say thanks before this meeting, and so if you did not have the opportunity to sign this, we'll make it available again, but this is a photo book of photos from Cleveland City Schools for Dr. Dyer, and so we wanted to present this to you, but you can't have it just yet.
Can't have it yet, okay.
And so we wanted to make that available for folks to just leave notes in it for you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay. In addition to that, the board members would like to present you with a card to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You don't have to open it now because I'm going to tell you what's in it.
Okay.
And so in the card is a gift card as well. And the
Okay.
gift card is to Terra Running.
Oh, very
So
nice.
we feel like when you leave, you'll be able to remember some things about Cleveland. And
Absolutely.
Terra Running is one of them. In case you guys don't know, he's a hiker and an outdoorsman. And so that'll help you get
Perfect.
some gear to continue on your passion.
Well,
So
thank you all for that. Certainly appreciate that. Very nice.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move along. And as chairman of the City School Board of Education, I'm committed to a couple things that I'm going to read here. Running an orderly and efficient meeting, treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided with equal voice for all matters. Board members should communicate through the Director of Schools for addressing his staff. A couple of reminders for parents in our community. The Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, click on the district link, Board of Directors, and select Board Policies. Our meetings are not public forums. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, Cleveland City Schools employee, or a parent guardian of a Cleveland City student to address the board via School Board Policy 1.404, which includes two options along with the requirements listed. Those options being appearing before the board via pre-meeting requests and addressing the board on agenda items via same-day requests. now we'll begin our regular agenda. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
We don't have any public comments, so we're going to move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any board member wants to remove? Okay, we don't have any suggestions for removing anything. I would like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Nate Tucker,
Yes?
Krista,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Carolyn,
Yes.
Peggy,
Yes.
and Jody.
Yes.
It passes.
Thank you. We'll move along to our regular agenda, and the regular first thing on the agenda is director's update.
All right. Well, first of all, good evening, everyone, and thanks for the reception today. That was great. Really appreciate the card that I will read later and the book that I also will receive later after people have another chance to maybe sign or do whatever they're going to do with that. But I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone tonight. A few business things first. We were able to go out to Mayfield Elementary today and do our Blue Star Award. And Yolanda Edwards is our Blue Star Award winner for this month. If you don't know her, she is one of my favorite teachers to go visit her classroom. She's a fourth grade teacher this year. She's been in other grades, but just a lot of excitement, a lot of joy in that classroom. Kids love it. They loved when we came through the door with balloons and things for her today, and that was a lot of fun to surprise her. And all the students wanted a picture with their favorite teacher. So that was a lot of fun. That picture and everything will be on social media here in a little bit. Well, it actually already is. So thanks for doing that. So that's big news. Our Blue Star Award winner for the month of March. Coming up tomorrow, the TOS Legislative Conference will be underway. As you know from TSBA and other sources where you get information, there's a lot of movement right now in Nashville in the field of education with bills going through. And one of the biggest is the Education Freedom Scholarship Act. So we're going to be learning a lot more about that over the course of the next 3 or 4 days. Kelly Kaiser, who you've named as the interim director, will also be there. So we'll be learning together a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. And that way he can come back and make sure that you're up to speed and informed about that bill as we continue to watch that closely. So that's something I'm looking forward to learning more about. As you know, we're a member of the Tennessee Risk Management Trust. That's our risk management insurance. I have served on the board for that for the last about 2 years now. Hal Taylor will be taking that role, and congratulations to Hal for taking over the role on the Tennessee Risk Management Board representing our area. He'll represent not just Cleveland City Schools, but really all of Southeast Tennessee on that board, and they have their first meeting coming up this Friday. So congratulations to him, and I know he will do a great job with that. Probably the most important topic that I have to share with you is a reminder that students are out of school tomorrow. So that's a good thing for students. Tomorrow is a professional development day for our employees, for our teachers and staff. Tomorrow is an election day, and by law, when your school sites are used for elections, students are required to be out of the building that day. So we will be closed for students tomorrow, but open for our teachers. Spring break is also coming up. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
When is that?
That is next week. Right?
Absolutely right. Yeah, coming up next week, spring break for all students, and everybody will understand our schools will be closed and we'll have spring break and everybody will have a great time. Be safe wherever you go. So that'll be a lot of fun. Just a personal reflection. Tonight is my last board meeting with the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education, and that seems really weird to say. It's been almost 8 years since June of 2016 when I was privileged to be offered this position and start the job and move to Cleveland. I didn't know really anybody here when I got here. I came here because I knew the Ocoee River and other places, and I knew the reputation of Cleveland. And the former director at McMinn County Schools, Mickey Blevins, sold me on applying for this job, and went through the TSBA search and came to love Cleveland. I didn't love the interview per se. Charlie Cogdill and Peggy were on that, and it's a grueling day, but that's part of it when you do it. And it was fun looking back on that, but it was a long day, a lot of activities. But got to know the board, got to know the community, got to know a lot of people through that process. And I've really enjoyed working with our teachers, our principals, our staff. The community here gets public education, and they understand the power of public education and the work that has to happen in our schools. From the city council to the county commission to others, supporting education is huge. It takes money to do that, and they've put money where money needs to be. And I appreciate our school board also making sure that we're taking care of our employees and taking care of our students and appropriating money in the right ways to advance their education and advance public education as a whole. Because it takes everyone being committed to that, especially in light of a lot of things that are happening, not just in Nashville, but other places too, that could be hurtful to public educations in some way. So it's something that I want us to keep working towards and keep thinking about. But I do appreciate everything today. I appreciate from our food service group providing this cheesecake that's staring at me right here to everything else that this community represents in the form of the work that's accomplished every day inside of our school buildings. And it takes dedicated principals, it takes dedicated teachers, it takes dedicated family members and community members and dedicated school board members. You know as well as I do, it's much more than just one meeting a month. There's a lot more to this job than one meeting a month. And I really appreciate the work that's being accomplished here in Cleveland. It's a special place. My challenge is to you all is to keep it that way. You know, keep Cleveland a very special place, and I know you will, and I know you represent your constituents really, really well, and I know the folks out here will continue to support Cleveland City Schools through thick and thin, just like they have in the past. So with that, I will say thank you. I just want to say, again, thank you, and I wish you all the best in your future. I look forward to being in Collierville. It's going to be going back home. It's a lot closer to friends and family that I've, of course, grown up with, but I will definitely miss Cleveland City Schools, Cleveland, Tennessee area, and I can't wait to come back and visit in the future. So with that, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Dyer. So next on the agenda, we have our legal counsel with us, Mr. Chuck Cagle, and he's going to talk to us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. When Russell Dyer announced that he was going to Collierville Schools, I immediately called him from my office in Nashville, and I told him that I wanted the job, and he sort of paused a minute. I said, "This is the best job on earth, Russell. What on earth are you doing?" You will be missed here. I'm glad we continue our professional relationship with you in Collierville. Those of you who don't know, Russell also serves as the TOSS representative to the American Association of School Administrators. He is the Tennessee representative to a national superintendent's organization, has represented the state very well there. So, Dr. Dyer, thank you for your time here, and I certainly look forward to working with you down in Collierville, Tennessee. And yes, we go over there occasionally too, exactly. So it's a wonderful thing. I'm here tonight, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about a subject that seems to have arisen in casual conversation around here, and maybe has received a little bit more formal recognition since a letter to the editor was published in the paper. That being the consolidation of schools. I've prepared for the board members a copy of it, and I've updated the memo that I sent you earlier. I've prepared for the board members this memorandum on two sections of the law, and some of my reflections on having gone through the consolidation effort half a dozen or so times in the state of Tennessee, ranging from Harriman City Schools consolidating into Roane County all the way to Shelby County Schools and Memphis City consolidation, where we literally took the 16th largest school district in America and merged it into Shelby County Schools. And it was not a pleasant act. We stayed in court for better than a year and a half on just trying to work out the kinks in that consolidation. The Tennessee Code is fairly specific on two sets of requirements, two methods by which schools can consolidate. And the first one of those is just really easy to explain. It's kind of the way that Memphis City Schools went out of business. They just had a referendum. They threw the keys on the table and said, we don't exist anymore. And that was it. And it turned out to be a train wreck, trying to take care of 112,000 students and move them into a 50,000 student school district. So that is the easy way to do it. If there is an easy way, that's the easy way to do it. But the city fathers, the city managers, the city council in that case has to take a vote, call for a referendum, and the referendum passes, then the school district sets a target date to go out of business. That's the easy way to go about it. Knoxville City, Hamilton County, and Dyersburg City went through this, and although they did not consolidate. Several other places in the state have gone through the method that's prescribed in Tennessee Code Annotated 492-1201, which is a very prescriptive way of going about it. It's about it takes up about 7 or 8 columns in this book on how to get through that method, and I'm going to go because I understand that that's the way that may be considered here tonight. I'm going to go through a lot of that process. That's accomplished by, first of all, forming a consolidation planning commission. When Knoxville City did theirs, I was working in the Office of the Commissioner of Education in Nashville for Dr. Bob McElrath, and I was appointed one of the commissioner's representatives to that consolidation planning commission that reported to the Office of the Commissioner. A Unification Education Planning Commission must be created. The Planning Commission will study the need for the problems associated with the consolidation of public schools within the county, within the city, into a unified school district. The county mayor guides a lot of this activity, and the mayor of each municipality, the county mayor, the mayor of each municipality, and each school board that's represented is allowed to appoint up to 5 members in the Consolidation Planning Commission. Here, that commission would have a total of 20 members, according to the statute. And then the county mayor is tasked with the responsibility of sending the members of that commission, certifying that list to the State Commissioner of Education. And in case you're wondering about it, let me just say, the Department of Education takes an active role in this. Much unlike Shelby County, where the department was just involved tangentially, where the county commission took a vote and just went out of business. In a consolidation plan, the State Department of Education is vitally involved in it, up to and including approving the plan and making recommendations to that plan. So that's what I did for the Commissioner's Office for the Knox County consolidation. The organizational meeting of the Planning Commission has to occur within 30 days after the Planning Commission is certified to the state. They may elect officers, a chair, a secretary, and others. Minutes are required, folks. Public bodies speak only through their minutes, according to the case law in Tennessee. So minutes have to be kept of the meetings of that commission, and those meetings would be public meetings at all times. It says that no salary is paid to any member of the commission, and the city and the county basically foots the expenses of the commission with contribution by the city. It doesn't say that they share in those costs equally. It says that the city will make a contribution. So while there's no salary paid, there are expenses. And the next one being the big expense, the comprehensive study that has to be performed under the statute that will address the need for, the issues in, the problems of consolidation. And that study is filed with the Commissioner of Education. So that in itself is the big cost item. You've got to find folks who do that study, who are familiar with everything from technology, computers, literally, all the way to FERPA. How do we transfer student records and keep everything confidential and make it and do that sequentially so that it's kept? The Planning Commission is authorized but not required to form a formal plan for consolidation. So once they have met, once they've done the study, once that study has been presented, then they have the ability under statute to formulate a formal plan for consolidation of schools, which shall be adopted by the majority of the members of the commission. So even the vote is specified in here. In the alternative, they can forego the plan itself and just make the report the consolidation study. They can make that available to the Department of Education. The Commissioner of Education has the right to make recommendations for amendments on the plan or on the conclusions of the study. If that can't be completed within a year, and folks, this takes a full year. If that can't be completed within a year, then they can petition the Commissioner of Education for additional time. The Planning Commission may be appointed to proceed with the study and make a new Planning Commission may be appointed if they can't reach a decision. So this can go on to a new Planning Commission. If the first Planning Commission can't reach any sort of decision, then a new Planning Commission can be appointed that can proceed with the work. They have to hold at least one public hearing. And my experience is the first public hearing is just the warm-up act. You're going to have a lot of public hearings on this because a lot of citizens will have a lot of input on this, and they will demand to be heard. But they have to hold at least one public hearing on the question of consolidation. As I said earlier, the minutes of the public hearing shall be kept and filed with the Commissioner of Education. And then there's on your handout, there's a summary on your handout of the things that the consolidation plan has to include. The administration of the school district, the organization, the method to ensure that there's no diminution of educational services. That's particularly important, as Ms. Pesterfield will tell you, in special education. We have to make sure that those students transfer from one district to another without any wrinkle in their services whatsoever. Appropriate means for transfer of assets and liabilities, that ends up being a big topic. What do we do with the school buildings? There is no guarantee under a plan of consolidation that the buildings or the real property transfers to a consolidated school system. The city controls that building and that debt, so there's no guarantee of that. Plans for disposition of the existing and bonded indebtedness, that has to be taken care of so that no bondholder is hurt. I assure you the last thing you want to do is endanger the rights of a bondholder for somebody who's bought debt in the school district. So that has to be satisfied with your bondholders. The plans for preserving the existing pension and benefit rights of all licensed and classified employees. I'm going to say that again, all licensed and classified employees. So whatever plans are out there, it goes from the principal of the school, or supervisors of the system, all the way down to a clerk or a custodian or a school food service worker. We've got to make sure that all of their rights and their benefits and their pensions and their salaries are preserved. We have to preserve all the tenure rights for teachers, all the sick leave rights and their salary schedule rights. The appropriate plans for contribution, if any, that the city makes to the county for a 3-year period after consolidation. So if the city decides they want to donate an amount of money to the county for operating schools, that also has to be in the plan. Consolidation Board of Education shall be formed. That's composed of 5 to 7 members serving staggered terms of office. Let me just tell you, in Shelby County, the school board went from 9 members to 23 members. That was not the wisest decision that the court made. As we found out, I think Dr. Dyer was still over in West Tennessee then, and the school board meetings were like, it was something to watch, something to behold. I went to those school board meetings for a year and a half with a 23-member school board. So it was just amazing. The consolidation board shall be authorized to designate a person to be director of schools. Let me remind you here that Bedell versus Knox County, Fred Bedell was the superintendent of the city school system. Earl Hoffmeister was the superintendent of the county system at the time of the consolidation, and the court ruled in that case, the Court of Appeals ruled, that the consolidated board still had to pay Fred Bedell his salary. So there's not an automatic reduction in the number of directors of schools. We just have to pay 2 people to be the director through the duration of that contract. So that's one of the things that would be required. The consolidation plan, when it's approved, shall be submitted to the governing body of the county and the city, where there is yet another mandate for another public hearing. It then goes to a referendum where separately and there's not a good way to say this, but separately, the city and the county have to approve the plan. So the city votes are taken apart from the county votes. And it has to pass both entities in a referendum vote. And the language for that referendum is set forth in the statute. In the referendum, in order to be adopted, shall pass by votes conducted in the city and in the county. As I said, it has to pass both bodies or both governmental entities separately. If this plan fails at any step of the way up to the referendum, so let's say we get a plan out, we get it to the city council or the county commission, one body or another turns it down. They just say, we're not going any further with this. That's exactly what happened in Dyersburg. They just said, we're not going any further. We don't want to talk about this. The city council made that decision. Then there is a provision for a countywide referendum in that case. It could go to a countywide referendum. We've never had one that's gone that far in Tennessee that I can tell. There's a 10% of the registered voters that voted in the last governor's election would be required to sign the petition in order for it to go further. But that is a fail-safe. That is something that can only occur after we've gone through the planning process and everything else, and then somebody, the city council, the county commission says, we're not going any further with this. Then, and only then, can they get a petition up and try to get it to the ballot. I've discussed 49.2.1002 briefly. That is the section of the law that just says the city commission could declare that they wanted to consolidate the schools. They conduct a referendum. If that referendum passes, then we go into a transition plan on how to do it. And those plans, folks, always take a minimum of a year at the very least to conclude. The practical implications of the transfer of the district, if the city voters were to vote to transfer the city schools to the county, there's no requirement that the city transfer the real property. No requirement under statute. That's a negotiable item. So that's one of those things that we'd have to talk about. Employee salaries must be equalized once the transfer occurs. Equalized means whoever pays the most, we equalize up. And that's by position, by position. So it's from a cafeteria worker and all the classified employees all the way through the teaching, the professional staff, the licensed staff, we equalize up. There is law in Tennessee over in 49.5 that says you can't cut a teacher's salary. Once that local supplement has been granted, you cannot reduce a teacher's salary. So we have to equalize up, and that is one serious consideration when you start talking about administrators particularly and classified employees. School technology and databases, including all employee and student records, will have to be merged. Student records may not be as hard as it used to be since we use the state's dashboard there, but employee records are sometimes, depending on the vendor that we use, sometimes those are very hard, particularly with worker compensation claims and other insurance claims that we may have. Sometimes that gets a little tricky. This is a major task for the technology team to try to merge those systems. The student special education services has to go in under a high level of review. One school system or the other may offer services that the other doesn't offer, and suddenly everybody's offering it in a consolidated system. So it's assumed that once a student transfers under federal law, under IDEA, it's assumed that once a student transfers from one district to another district, intrastate, within the state, it's assumed that all those services can be the same. So that's going to create the cause for a number of IEP teams to meet and see what other services are now available since we would have a consolidated district. That's going to take a lot of time to go through all of those special ed files. If one system is on block schedule and the other is on a standard schedule, guess what? We got a problem. We got a problem. And that can be a big problem. That can be a big headache for students who may want to go transfer to other schools within the district or may have to transfer because of rezoning. So that can be a significant problem for students who may wish to move or may have to move because of rezoning issues, being on block or a standard schedule. Policy manuals Student handbooks and everything have to be reviewed. So you've got a massive effort there. Every school, and I'm going to assume that every school has a handbook. You've got at least 2 policy manuals that would have to be merged. That would need to be done. Student activity funds and other school funds must be transferred to the merged system, and all of that's subject to state audit. So whereas now the city school system has its funds audited by a private accounting firm because you're a municipal school district, the county school system has theirs audited by the state. Now all of those funds would have to transfer, and the state would be very interested in taking a look at all of the funds to make sure that the transfer was proper. And that's quite a big undertaking on behalf of Ms. Guerin and the business staff. School food service operations will be merged, and existing contracts will require review. That can be there's no consideration in this law of the enforcement of contracts. And unless you've got an out clause in some of those contracts, as I remember as Cleveland City Schools, contracts with school food service. So how do you get out of that contract? How do you get out of that contract? Conversely, Bradley County contracts for school bus service, and Cleveland City doesn't. So there are lots of considerations for contract law here and the enforcement of contracts that are in effect. As the next point there is that transportation systems have to be merged. There's a major consideration as Bradley County currently contracts with private owners for their transportation services. We have to look at all those contracts. Each contract held by the former city system will require examination. That's everything from curriculum contracts to school food service contracts. If you have a vendor, for example, that you're using in elementary school to enhance reading instruction, we'd have to take a look at that contract to see if there is a clause there, an escape clause or a cancellation clause that would allow getting out of it. Attendance patterns, and this is a big one. We run into this everywhere. Attendance patterns, zoning plans, and school capacity issues must be addressed, and a process the process for the request to transfer and administrative review of the request must be established. The consolidation board is going to be faced with literally hundreds of requests by parents to transfer their children to other schools because they've been told in the past either you can't transfer or we don't have capacity. Now everything would be a unified school district, and that becomes a big task for the school board because under 49.6 the school board determines where children attend school. Now once you've done that, once you consider that, you now get into issues of desegregation, and those will have to be addressed. And that is a considerable problem because now in managing that issue alone, you bring in the Office of Civil Rights in Atlanta, Georgia. That is a body that you really don't want to play with on a good day. I'm just going to say that. They don't have a sense of humor. And they'll take a look at the patterns where and how students are assigned, and the entire county may very well have to be rezoned in order to take into account desegregation issues. As you see in the next section there, I have participated in the following consolidation efforts. I represented Roane County when Harriman City went out of business. I represented Chattanooga City when they merged with Hamilton County Schools. I represented the Office of the Commissioner of Education when Knox City went out of business into Knox County. I represented Humboldt City School in their failed referendum to go out of business. The citizens voted it down. Humboldt City Schools is alive and well today. I represented Shelby County when Memphis City went out of business. And from each of those that I learned the following things, and I'm just going to say this from 33 years of doing this. You don't save any money. That's number one. There is never a cost saving from consolidation of schools. You're going to have the same number of teachers. You're going to have the same number of buildings and maybe more. You're going to have the same number of personnel to run those buildings. There has never been a cost saving. I remember in Knox County, where Knox County actually had to absorb a $55 million unfunded liability in the city retirement system when Knoxville City went out of business. That's probably not going to happen to you. But in Hamilton County, it cost us better than $3 or $4 million just to cover the salaries from the teachers transferring in from the city system to the county system. So there's never been a cost saving that anybody has realized from consolidating schools. The employee salary savings was not realized in any system. Again, the rights of teachers are protected under statute. And in a lot of cases, believe it or not, and I can't explain this to you. If I were a better mathematician, I might. We ended up needing more employees. And that's largely dependent on special ed populations and how they're broken up from system to system. So we've needed more employees in a lot of those systems. Maintenance of benefits proved to be very challenging. Many systems had differing 403B or 457 plans. Issues involving the transfer of real property proved significant. Land isn't getting any cheaper anywhere. And city governments may have a use for some of that property that they hold for the beneficial use of the school system. That's quoting from your deeds here. It's deeded to the city for the beneficial use of the schools. So the city may have a use for that, and they don't have to transfer that property. So it's just, again, it's one of those things that requires a lot of consideration. Athletic transfers become a problem with TSSAA. You now have a consolidated system. What are the rights of athletes and all those sports and other activities that are covered by the Secondary School Athletic Association? The transfer of the city school system resulted in no saving to the city government. I know that people have talked about that, and that's been mentioned. But cities now have needs that would be covered if the city school system were to transfer. They would spend that money that's appropriated for schools on the police department and the fire department and sewers and infrastructure and parks and other things. There's been no evidence at all at any time of the city actually reducing the tax rate. That's never happened in all the cases with which I'm familiar. And the level of apprehension among the employees and the students is palpable. Folks, we don't realize the effect that this has on every student, primarily, and in every teacher, because we're destroying tradition when we talk about that. I told some of the board members with whom I spoke earlier about this that even though I live in another town now, I'm from Sweetwater, Tennessee, originally. I went to church where there was one pastor for 35 years, and when he left, we didn't know how to act. In fact, we acted out, tried to get him to come back. You're looking at generations of people in the city of Cleveland who know the Cleveland City Board of Education as having been in existence since the late 1800s. It's all they know. So talking about this in any other terms is distressing to them. It really is, and it's something that I hope that we will, I know that will be taken seriously and very seriously by this board. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I stand for questions if you have any, and be happy to answer anything you have.
Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Cagle?
I appreciate the thoroughness that you did with this report and getting it to us a week or two ago. That was really helpful laying that out. I thank you for that.
Dr. Dyer, do you have any questions?
You know, I really don't have questions for Mr. Cagle. I do, going back to a point you mentioned earlier, I've been doing a little research of my own. I found a report from 2010. I'm just going to read part of it. It talks about Jackson-Madison County. The first year as a combined district, Jackson-Madison County spent $7,196,000 more than the previous year's combined expenditures of both systems. At the same time, the county tax rate jumped from $2.56 in 1989 to $3.55 in 1992, coupled with a 1/2 cents local sales tax boost for schools. Knoxville and Knox County schools posted comparable increases from the 1987 consolidation. The system's total budget rose from $118 million in 1986 to $190 million in 1992, and its capital budget increased twice as much during the same time period. So it just goes back to reinforce what you had mentioned earlier. And there's also a TASRA report. Now, it's old, it's 2005, but the TASRA report, which is the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relations, when you look in here, it talks about the same kind of things. And one of the outcomes, there's no basis for expecting significant financial advantages as an outcome of consolidation as one of their bullet points. So I'll leave these. Andrew can make copies of these. They're older, 2005, 2010, but it does contain factual information that you might be interested in reading over later.
Ms. McKay?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a couple of, what I think you made clear, but just to make sure that I understand. So from what it sounds like, it's not an option for a private entity to be engaged to conduct a study and funded with outside funds. It would have to be, if there was a study to be done, it would have to be instigated by the city and the county, and it would be through that unified consolidation plan, overseen by the Department of Education, as you described.
I'm not going to say that somebody couldn't contract for that. Don't get me wrong. That's if one entity or another, or some individual, or some college or university, for that matter, wanted to do a consolidation study under a theory of consolidation, then they certainly could do that. However, for that study to be official, for it to represent the official work of a local government, it has to come through the Consolidated Planning Commission. Now, they could use that study as a background for their own, but that study would have no formal legal recognition of law if it were done outside the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
If the city council rejects this, is it possible for somebody to bring this, file a petition that people sign to bring it up to a vote?
Only after the Consolidation Planning Commission has operated and they get it back to the city council. If the city council at that point were to say, we don't want, we're not interested in this, then yes, there is a provision at law for it to go to a referendum at that point. But just to start that as the first round, no, there's no official, there's no way under Tennessee law just to put a petition on the ballot, because we don't have advisory referenda in Tennessee. That's unconstitutional. Should we consolidate schools? That referendum would be advisory, and the state attorney general has ruled on a number of occasions that advisory referenda are not legal.
Mm-hmm. Has that ever happened in the state of Tennessee?
No, not in the last 30 years, of which I'm aware.
Chuck, since assumingly the county is the one that has initiated this, or that's where it appears to be, I'm wondering who, if they are aware of all of this, if they know what's involved in it, and then who will be the person that sort of polices it to make sure that they follow this?
Well, it would, of course, the local Board of Education, the city Board of Education would have standing to challenge an action that's taken outside the scope, or certainly any citizen particularly a citizen whose children attend Cleveland City schools. That's the way we maintained the small schools lawsuit, for example. It was a group of citizens whose children attended small school districts in Tennessee and changed the funding structure. So I think it would be enforceable in court. I have no idea what anybody knows about it. Those of you who have attended my sessions at school board academies know that my favorite phrase is, "Let me tell you what's about to happen to you." And I would be happy to tell them what's about to happen to them. Or anybody else. But I think before it goes any further, the process should be well known to the participants in it, because it is very detailed and very specific. And the very last thing you want to happen is for this to be done in some sort of careless fashion, and the Commissioner of Education correct it all for you. That's the last thing you want to happen.
Some people in the city have asked if their taxes would go down if we consolidated. Have you ever seen that happen?
No.
Any more questions or comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Cagle.
Mr. Chairman, since the days of Don Yates, I've had the privilege of being involved with this school board. When Peggy Pesterfield was the special ed director, I came over to do some special ed due process work and attend some IEP meetings, which I'm not quite forgiven her for that yet. But you know, since the days of Don Yates, I've had a privilege to be associated with this board, and it is indeed a privilege to represent you, and I hope that if any time you have questions, that you will not hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Cagle, if you'll stay there.
Oh.
Next item on the agenda is a school consolidation resolution.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I have prepared a resolution at the request of the chairman of the board. I take no pride in authorship or ownership of this resolution. I'm just one of the guys who knows where all the whereases and therefore be it resolved go. But I've added what I believe to be the sentiment of this board as I've had individual conversations with its members and use some experience about this. The resolution is before you. I can either read it or explain it, or I'll take questions about it.
Do you care to read it?
I knew you were going to say that.
Thank you, sir.
I could do this like the clerk of the Senate, but everybody would be asleep. Whereas the Cleveland City Schools, authorized by provisions contained in the charter of the City of Cleveland, has been in continuous operation since 1885. And whereas the Cleveland City Schools is a system currently comprised of 5,000 students in 9 schools, and whereas the Cleveland City Schools has a distinguished reputation in all areas of academic and interscholastic endeavor, having notable graduates in areas including academia, business and commerce, agriculture, medicine, law, science, and athletics. And whereas the subject of consolidation of the Cleveland City Schools into Bradley County Schools has become a topic of conversation in the Bradley County community. And whereas this subject was a topic of a letter to the editor in the local newspaper authored by a member of the county commission. And whereas rather than citing specific needs to be remedied or problems that need to be addressed, the letter to the editor seems to invite a let's see what if approach to the subject of consolidation, with a hint that there might be a potential cost saving to taxpayers if the county were to consolidate into one school system. And whereas this approach gives no consideration to the immediate negative effect that approaching such an important topic as school consolidation on a casual basis will have on school students, school employees, and the community at large. And whereas the publication of the letter to the editor, prior to the publication of the letter to the editor, no party has approached the City Board of Education to state that there are problems or concerns or to inquire about the interest in the topic of consolidation. And whereas there's been no discussion about the effect such an action, if accomplished, would have on the students and the teachers in the Cleveland City Schools, and indeed in both school districts involved. And whereas there's been no inquiry into the question about how a consolidated school district would need to reorganize, rezone, and reallocate students into available facilities, and whereas there's been no consideration given to the question of ownership and control of property and facilities, and whereas recent occurrences of consolidation of school systems in Tennessee do not reveal any instances where a cost savings was realized as a result of the consolidation of school systems, and whereas, contrary to popular speculation, the facts in recent consolidation actions reveal that additional tax dollar appropriations have been required to close cost differentials between systems that consolidate for such items as personal and classified employee differences, pupil transportation, assumption of school debt, inability to cancel effective business contracts, employee business, consolidation and alignment of curricula, consolidation of data systems, desegregation issues, and services for underserved minority groups. Now therefore be it resolved by the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education that the mayor and the city council are urged to express their unanimous disinterest in participating in discussions concerning any consolidation effort for the Cleveland City Schools and the Bradley County Schools. Be it further resolved that the mayor and the city council are urged to reject any invitation to participate in the formal in the formation of a unification planning commission established for the purpose of exploring the need for consolidation of the Cleveland City Schools and the Bradley County Schools. Be it further resolved that this resolution, when adopted, shall be signed by each member of the Board of Education of the Cleveland City Schools, that a fully executed copy of this resolution shall be spread upon the minutes of the board, and that said resolution shall be forwarded to the mayor and the city council as a date for adoption and signature lines for every board member.
Thank you, Mr. Cagle. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Cagle regarding the resolution? All right. It sounds like there's no comments or recommendations or questions. So I'd like to entertain a motion to accept this resolution or reject it, whatever your pleasure is.
So move. Accept it.
We have a motion to accept this resolution. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion to accept and reject this, to accept this resolution, and a second to accept this resolution. So we're going to take a vote.
There's a motion on the floor to support the school consolidation resolution. Andy?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Krista?
Yes.
It passes.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have Spotlight. And so I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Dyer.
Okay, well, good. Now we're going to have a little bit lighter moment in the board meeting tonight, and we're going to ask for Mr. Stevens to come down, and we're going to spotlight Mayfield Elementary School first.
I trust this will be lighter. Thank you very much. It's a privilege of mine to be here tonight to talk for just a few moments about Mayfield Elementary School, our wonderful school up on the hill. I'd like to first begin with a short video from our media team.
Hi! Hello, board members of the Cleveland City Schools. We are the Mayfield media team.
We wanted to tell you some of the great things we have here at Mayfield. Mayfield is a good school with good opportunities. We have several clubs offered to us, like STEM Club, who's all on STEM Club. We do different projects 2 times a week. And Book Club, who all is on Book Club.
We get to read every once in a week and have fun projects on Saturday.
And even the media team. We also have a girls and boys basketball team, which we did great this year. We won 2nd place in Cleveland City School Trail. And we have family fun nights and STEM club nights and fine arts nights and dance club. We have monthly STEM challenges where we create a challenge with families that bring them to school.
We are all honored to talk to you today, and we appreciate the support that you give us. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
All right. So that's an introduction from our media team. I hope that you could hear them pretty well, but we have a great media team, and a couple of our students here are what we call roving reporters, and sometimes they go out into the school and take a report from a teacher and highlight a teacher or staff member for us. On our next slide, I just wanted to talk just a moment about our enrollment. We're currently at 424 students, and we pride ourselves on having a thriving student population. We've grown a bit over the past couple of years, and particularly since we had our rezoning a few years ago. We've continued to grow each year and sometimes each week, as we welcomed 3 new students today. We have a diverse population at our school. We have a student body that's a mix of cultures and backgrounds. Currently, we have 117 students whose natural first language is not English. And some of those languages that are represented at our school include Spanish, Ukrainian, French, Chuukese, Gujarati, Haitian, Afrikaans, and Swahili. So we have a good mixture of students who are coming to just really shake it up at Mayfield. About 22% of our students receive ESL services, And we have about 12% who have disabilities and are economically disadvantaged numbers there as well. Next slide there. We continue to really emphasize our curriculum. For our reading program, of course, we're continuing to use CKLA, and CKLA, Core Knowledge Language Arts, is a program that we've used for the past 3 or 4 years, and it just really offers our students a good set of background knowledge for a lot of different avenues, a lot of different aspects of life. As you can see in this picture, these first grade students had just finished a unit on kings and queens and princes, and so they had a ball in the theater in the afternoon. It's interesting when first grade finishes their unit on parts of the body. So we learned a few interesting words, and they go home and talk about that, so that's fun. This year we introduced a new program for math called Savas, and at the very beginning of the year, our teachers just really, I wouldn't say struggled, but really persevered in introducing that new curriculum, and our students did as well. But one of the things I like about the Savas curriculum is it really pushes the students to kind of grapple with a problem on their own, independently, maybe talk with a neighbor about that before they go into whole group sharing and introducing that instruction. And so it gives them a chance to talk about how they came up with a solution, what strategies that they used, and then they go into a whole group instruction. And so the teachers have really kind of come around that as well, and it's been good to see them come around that throughout the year. Our big emphasis, however, this year on top of curriculum has been our endeavor to become STEM designated. And of course, STEM is that science, technology, engineering, and math. And so this year, throughout the year, we've had plenty of opportunities for students to come around that design process where they're thinking about a problem, trying to break it apart, test it, try it out, see what doesn't work, and then bring it back together for another product. And so throughout the year, we've had several different projects. The one that you see on the left was our playground design. So students were encouraged to design a playground. They could use whatever materials they wanted, and we saw several different types of seesaws and slides and swings and monkey bars, things like that, but they had to test these things to see that they worked, and for the most part they worked. On the right side, fourth grade, studying medieval times and different time periods in their CKLA lessons, decided to host the medieval games. And so they jousted, creating the different jousting materials. They also created catapults and built castles with moats around it to see that it would hold water. And so they tested those things as they were going along. Throughout the year as well, the different grade levels continue to create these different STEM projects as part of their curriculum, either their science curriculum or sometimes their ELA curriculum, because it's all linking together. A big event that we had around Christmas time was what we called Balloons Over Broadway. And so, next slide. We had students and student groups created floats, and so we had our own Christmas parade. And so they tested those floats to see, how it would work, and they had different ideas of what they would use for the materials to create those floats. Of course, we had a visit from Santa Claus as well to finish our parade. But we had students who created floats that were based on a skateboard. Some were pulled by a remote-controlled car that they walked behind, guiding. We even had regular balloon floats in the air. So we had a great time with that STEM project as well. We are looking forward to our STEM visit this Friday to determine whether we are going to be STEM designated. And so we trust that we will. Next, I just wanted to share that we do plenty of family and community engagement events, and these are a real highlight for our families. We have three great best partners. We have State Farm with Misty Allen. Food City is a new best partner for us this year, and they've been wonderful to work with. And First Baptist Church has been our faith-based partner, who are so kind to us throughout the year. They sometimes provide, at random, a lunch for teachers, and they always provide lunch during Teacher Appreciation Week. They also allow us to use their facility for our 5th grade graduation, which is wonderful because it's very spacious and beautiful and well proportioned for us, so we appreciate them. Some of the family engagement events that we have endeavored this year include, of course, Open House, Grandparents Luncheon, which typically somehow always coincides with book fair. Just works that way. We had a visit from the Museum Center to talk to our students about the Cherokee Nation, and we created clay pots that night with our students. We have a theme throughout our school about with superheroes, and so we had a superhero dance party. We have Thanksgiving luncheons, writing letters to Santa Claus at Christmas times, an opportunity for students to write as well as visit with Santa at our school, and then family game night and STEAM nights that we have. We have a STEAM night coming up in the spring. So we have lots of events for our students and families, and one of the events that surprised me the most really was our family game night. It was on a busy week, the weather wasn't great, and I went with my family thinking, we may be the only ones here. But when I arrived, the theater was full of families just sitting down playing games, card games, Connect Four, Monopoly, bingo, and they just had a great time. So it was a good time to have families out and into our building. Outside of our family and community engagement events, we have several extracurricular events that our students have the opportunity to be involved with. Beta Club is happening every year with our 5th grade students. We have a STEM club that meets weekly, and we have a book club meets weekly as well. And once a semester, Ms. Grubb brings our book club in on a Saturday, and they just do a day of reading. They have pizza, and then they can read, and they talk about the books that they're reading, and just hang out. They put up tents and just have a good time reading their books. Girls on the Run is represented at our school, as well as the Cleveland Youth Basketball League. We had 2 teams, a boys team and a girls team, both ranked quite well this year with the Cleveland City Basketball League. So we have fun with our extracurriculars. A couple other items that we've done in the last year are Career Day. Our school counselors put together a nice career day. We had many local career folks come, insurance, first responders, a plumber, photographers, and plenty of the big equipment people outside. Lots of big equipment outside that the students love to go and grapple with. We also had a really neat partnership with the Tennessee Department of Transportation where we painted a plow, a snow plow. And so one of our staff members happens to be married to someone who works with the department. And so they brought the plow over, and Ms. Poplin led all of our students to have an opportunity to paint on the plow. So every student that was enrolled at that time had an opportunity to be on that plow with some paint. So that was fun. We continue our positive behavior and intervention supports with our students. We recognize students for their great behavior with our point system and opportunities to meet with their community in their nest once a month to talk about different aspects of character education. That is also in conjunction with Capturing Kids' Hearts and our school counselors who really push our character education program. These are the students of the month for February, which was respect. They were all recognized for exhibiting respect in their classroom. And of course, we could not do any of this without our wonderful, beautiful students and our lovely superhero team of teachers and staff. So we're just rocking on at Mayfield, on the hill. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Perfect. We do have a second spotlight tonight on top of that wonderful performance there from Mayfield, and that's our wrestling teams. And Coach John Wise is here. He's going to come down. The wrestlers have been out there for a long time, and they get restless, so there's no telling what's going on out there. So we'll bring them on down and have them recognized tonight.
There may or may not have been a few matches.
I was figuring on that.
Very few broken tables. Hey, y'all come behind them. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Dyer, and esteemed guests in attendance, I'd like to introduce you right now to the 2023-2024 TSSAA State Wrestling Champions. This team of both boys and girls continues to set the bar higher and higher every year. The girls' team went undefeated again in just their third year of existence. They were able to defend their team title, beating Tullahoma in the finals. Just weeks later in the individual tournament, they were able to bring home a record 9 medals, including 2 state champions. They finished the season ranked 3rd in the nation. The boys program once again won the state title for the 7th straight year in a row, a TSSAA record. They were able to finish in the top 30 in the nation, and their last dual meet that Cleveland lost was the first weekend of December in 2018. They have continued to add on to a streak that is now up over 120 duels. In the individual tournament, they were able to tie a school record of 6 champions and now a new school record of 11 medalists. Of the 26 potential medalists, we brought home 20 medalists. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I am honored to present to you the most dominant wrestling program in the state of Tennessee, your Blue Raiders. At this time, I'm going to ask them as they leave, because I know they got other places to be, they're going to introduce themselves and then they're going to walk straight out. Okay? So, Anna, I'll let you go first.
Coach, can we get a picture with them real quick?
Absolutely.
So, y'all want to go stand behind them?
Yep. There we go.
Well, we got the TV in the way, too.
Why don't we have them come up on stage?
Yeah.
If y'all can just come up on stage right there, it'd be great.
Watch the cords.
Watch the cords, please.
Just come on up in here, that'd be great.
Because they'll be behind you, and then you get to be in front, show your pretty faces.
In front of us.
The board chair says he thinks he can take you, so.
Yeah. We're here on the side. I'm fine if they block me.
We used to move.
Y'all might have to go stand
Yes.
on the sides of them.
Thank you, sir.
It might be better to get on the sides of them over there. Be seen otherwise. I'll go right here. I found that.
Right in front of me.
Oh, okay.
She's right in the middle.
Is everybody in the picture? Andrew, you gotta get in the picture too. Come on, Andrew. Dr. Raper, is this back in the screen?
Oh, that's right. We have to sign it, don't we?
Oh. All right, go ahead. Come on, Twinny.
My name is Micaiah Parker, and I was weight class 107, and I'm a senior.
I'm Kiki Turner. I'm a junior, and I'm 138.
I'm Jakira Parker. My weight class was 126, and I'm a senior.
I'm Ann Melton. I'm a junior, 100.
I'm Olivia Grace Collins, 120, junior.
I'm Dennisy Luna, and I'm 138, freshman.
I'm Adriana Perkins. I'm a sophomore, and I wrestled for 132.
I'm Senna Grassman. I wrestle 114, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Leah Adriante, and I'm a junior, and I wrestled 132 this year.
I'm Raisha Sevilla. I'm a senior, and I wrestled 120.
I'm Brooklyn Burnside. I wrestled 107, and I'm a senior.
I'm Madeline Zuna, and I wrestle heavyweight, and I'm a junior.
State champ.
Yeah.
My name is Adeline Vinoy. My weight class is 145, and I'm a junior. My name is Isabella Harris. I'm a senior, and I'm 152.
My name is Piper Fowler. I'm a junior, and my weight class is 165.
My name is Jaylee Garcia. I'm a junior, and my weight class is 152.
My name is Jose Cordero. I'm a sophomore, and I wrestle 106.
My name is Cy Fowler. I'm a junior, and I wrestle 157.
My name is Chase Walker. I'm a junior, and I wrestle 113.
My name is Colt Mahan. I wrestle 120, and I'm a sophomore.
My name's Zach Boskin. I'm a junior. I wrestle 126.
My name is Blake Congdon. I wrestle 138, and I'm a sophomore.
My name's Roman York. I'm a junior, and I wrestle 144.
My name is Trey Schuft. I'm a junior, and I wrestled 150.
Oh, I'm a senior. You're a senior. You're a senior.
My name is Gabe Moore, and I wrestle 215, and my grade is sophomore.
I'm a heavyweight. I wrestle heavyweight, and I am a junior.
My name is Logan Fowler. I'm a senior. I wrestled 165 this year.
There you go. Last but not least, this is also a group that is seeing multiple young men and women have the opportunity to continue their career on. I know that Logan has already accepted a scholarship and committed to the Air Force Academy to continue his program, continue wrestling there. I know a couple other seniors, including Bella Harris, is going to William and Penn, and then Diamond Young, who wasn't here tonight, is going to wrestle at Cumberland University. So we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and to honor us as well, and we were honored to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. All right, next on the agenda, we have strategic plan focus.
Okay, Caroline Corrigan is going to come up.
Good evening. I have just a couple slides to go through with y'all. One of my last stories, though, was the Fowler siblings. So if you haven't been able to read that, that's really, really exciting. That's an awesome family. So first, I just wanted to go through a couple of the duties of the communication department. I know this department is still fairly new. It's about 2 years old now, so I just wanted to give you an overview of a couple of the things that we're in charge of. First, obviously, strategic communication management throughout the district when it comes to internal and external communication, direct family outreach, so writing and sending those mass emails to families, as well as crisis communication management. And then content creation and management, whether it's graphics, newsletters, articles, social media, as well as management of the district website and overseeing the school's individual web pages. And then, of course, media relations when it comes to initiating contact with media representatives to promote some district programs and handling communication during those crisis situations. So with the next slide, I wanted to give you an idea of some of the progress points we've made since I first got here in 2022. First and foremost, over this past summer, I did a massive redesign of the website from the district standpoint, and then I went and cleaned up each individual school's website as well before the new year started. So that was a really big project that I knew was really important to a lot of people in the district. We also started weekly staff emails. One of the biggest complaints from staff members was the number of mass emails they were getting. So we decided to streamline that communication for a Friday morning email. And as of right now, 76% of staff members open it up within the first 24 hours. So that's nice to see. And then we also started board recap emails. There's a lot of staff members in this district who are really busy and they don't have time to come to our meetings all the time. So they really enjoy being able to go back and read through that board recap email to find out what happened the night before. We also initiated communication liaisons. So once I did that big overhaul of the websites last summer and then redesigned each individual school's web pages, I really need someone at each school to help manage that throughout the school year. So a communication liaison for social media and the web page was created for each school this year, and that's been super helpful. And then, of course, the ongoing practice of staff features and progress highlights for district achievements. And then these are a couple of strategic goals we have moving forward: internal communication, external communication, and obviously public relations. When it comes to internal communication, working with schools to continue to streamline communication and condense those mass emails for their staff members on a school line, as well as conducting internal surveys through Thought Exchange to receive some feedback from their staff members. And then when it comes to external communication, in August of last year, we launched a pilot program with Power School Unified Communication at Arnold and Stewart schools to provide one-way and two-way communication to families. We plan to move forward with an upgraded system called School Messenger in the fall. We also plan on collaborating with administrators to enhance staff to family communication and to improve communication with our non-English speaking families, as we know that's an area that's growing throughout the district. And then with public relations, we continue to provide press releases and updates to local media outlets to provide some positive coverage of Cleveland City Schools and continue to work with our communication liaisons to ensure that content is being shared from every school in the district. And that's been super easy to do because these students and staff members are amazing and the stories are endless and the highlights are endless. So, yeah, any questions? Awesome.
Caroline,
Yes.
since we do not get our paper except 3 times a week, and it seems that the sports news is always 2 or 3 days behind, and you may do that. I don't do much with Facebook, but is there any way that, like when Wednesday, I think is when the girls play, that you could send something out somewhere so that we can keep up with what they're doing and what's happening in sports?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm a sports nut anyway, and I would just like to keep up with and not have to read it, 2 or 3 days after it's happened.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This may sound old-fashioned, but I wonder if we could ever have a paper newsletter that we sent out to parents so they could see the things that are happening, in Cleveland City Schools. At Cleveland High School, we're building an airplane. I cannot tell you how many times I've mentioned that, and people have never heard it. And they need to know that because I believe there's only 20 schools in the country that are doing that, and people need to know those things.
Yes, that's definitely something we can look into. I know other school districts will do a quarter newsletter that they will print and send out in the mail, so that's definitely something I can look at.
What's the plan for doing that electronically? Like our board recap emails for our external constituencies?
That is something I have been talking to our directors about as far as getting a newsletter maybe once a month to our community. So I think that would be a great idea moving forward.
I guess what I'm thinking is that people in the community, unless you have a student or a grandchild in the schools, you don't look at the website. That's why sometimes if it's a paper thing, it might get out to more people.
Right, right.
Any more questions or comments? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline.
Appreciate your time.
It. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have student representatives update, and we're going to turn it over to Ms. Ava Davis.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good night. We enjoyed seeing the wrestlers. I wasn't able to go to state this year. I've gone the past 3 years, so I was like, I guess I'll miss out on this one. And it was a bad one to miss out on because so many people won. And then, of course, we had our 7th win, so it's okay. I'll get over it maybe. So we're going to start with our arts section. So our Renaissance Choir placed first place in the small choir section this past weekend. Mr. Markham held auditions and for Alice in Wonderland, and they've been practicing in here. From what I've heard, it's going great. Everyone is very excited, and that will be April 4th through April 8th. So if you guys don't have plans that weekend, you can all go to the Alice in Wonderland production. I'm sure most of you know, but our girls basketball team is going to state. We did a send-off for them today. Everybody had a lot of fun. We're so proud of them for their hard work. Cheer and dance are having their tryouts this month, which is very exciting. I think it's for football and basketball cheer and then dance does both. And then tonight is actually the first baseball game of the 2024 season. So they're out there playing right now. So if you hear commotion as you leave, it's just the baseball players, don't stress. Also, softball season is about to kick off. They've got their first game this coming Thursday. And then the same for soccer season. I think soccer season starts after spring break from what I've heard. On an academic note, the graduates of distinction, which are a subdivision inside of Raider Scholars, they're the students who have received 4.0s all year, or all 4 years, and then qualify for the Raider Scholar, which is our honors graduates. They all received the emails about if they received that honor. It's something that the seniors get really excited about because you put in all that work and it finally happens and you get that email and you're like, oh, hallelujah. As well, the juniors have their ACT this March 26th, which will be really exciting. And then our Model United Nations Club, which is headed by Miss Julie Phillips and Miss Athena Davis, we're going on that the week after spring break. So we'll all be in DC, and I'll be turning 18 there, so that's really exciting. And then we have no classes tomorrow, like Dr. Dyer said, and then spring break, and we're all just really excited for that. Good to catch up on some sleep. And I just also wanted to say a thank you to Dr. Dyer, because I know this is your last board meeting, and you've always made me feel really welcome here, and I just appreciate everything that you've done for the city schools.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
You're welcome.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a facility committee update. Do we have anything?
No update.
All right, thank you, sir. Next on the agenda, legislative update. Do we have anything?
No, but I want to apologize that I did not get to attend the legislative session in Nashville. I was quite ill, and I wanted to also say to Chuck that I didn't have the opportunity to meet with him on that Friday, so miss talking with you as well. The big thing right now, of course, if you read all the information that we get through TSBA, is the school voucher program, and I'm going to push Chattanooga Press, Chattanooga Times, and Free Press. They do a tremendous job in keeping up with what's going on. And every morning when I get my iPad out to read the paper, there's usually something about the Tennessee school voucher. So if you want to keep up with it, that's a good place to know what's going on, at least through the paper.
Okay, are there any new ideas, business that we need to mention? All right, if board members, if you'll hang around after the meeting so that you can sign the resolution that we passed today. Ms. McMacken will have that available for us to sign.
I have a question. This resolution, are we going to publish that in the paper? Or what are we going to do with it now that we have it?
I believe that Ms. Corrigan has a press release ready to go, and she will attach that with it. Is that correct? All right. Any other questions? All right, so it is 6:55. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Have a first, a second?
Second.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned, 6:55.